Hey, animation fan, you look like you've been in too good of a mood lately. You know what that means? It's time to spin the wheel cancellation! I can't do this anymore.
Ooh, untitled Matt Brawley and Rebecca Sugar animated film?
Better luck next time, kid. So yeah, Sony pulled the plug on Matt Brawley and Rebecca Sugar's animated film, and I'm disappointed to say the least. Especially because I can't help but think if they just gave them a bit more time, the success of another movie would have came along and changed Sony's attitude on the whole thing. But let's take it from the top. In December 2023, it was revealed that Sony Pictures Animation was developing a new film directed by Matt Brawley, the creator of Amphibia, with a script that he wrote alongside Rebecca Sugar, creator of Steven Universe, and a ton of great music. This alone already had so many animation fans hyped. Amphibia was a banger, one that was at its best when it got to explore the emotional core of the story, much like Steven. And this film was set to stand out from the rest of Hollywood's animated offerings, as it was not only built around Matt's cultural background, but his own life, as it would have told the story of a young boy who goes on an emotional journey to a fantastical world of Thai spirits where he hopes to have his illness cured. This sounds like the kind of animated film that would have really stuck with people. A wild, fun ride that's still emotionally vulnerable, which is something I think has been lacking from a ton of mainstream animated films, at least over here in Burgerland, where the story is good or fine, but it feels like they're holding back on an emotional gut punch, something heavy that might get you misty-eyed, but ultimately is needed to deliver a sweet sense of catharsis. So, what went wrong? Well, yesterday, Matt Brawley broke the news across social media, stating at the very start of 2025, I received the unfortunate news that the movie I had been working on for over 2 years at a major animation studio would not be moving forward. I'm super proud of the lovely script that Rebecca Sugar and I wrote together, and I am disappointed that you will all likely never get to see the film. I had a really supportive development team, but the film was ultimately judged as not commercial enough to produce. I understand these decisions are not made lightly, and have nothing but respect for the studio, which continues to put out amazing films. The movie was about a teen boy traveling to the world of Thai spirits in order to cure himself just before undergoing a very scary and life-altering operation necessary to live. This was not a story about finding a cure, so much as it was about learning to accept one's unchangeable circumstances with grace, and realizing that a different life than expected can still be a wonderful one. It was a deeply personal story for me, as I was diagnosed with an incurable chronic illness at a very young age that brought permanent changes to my lifestyle. Not only that, but it would have been an honor to bring more Thai culture to the big screen, a torch I hope someone else picks up. Today I would like to share just a small bit of the artwork that we created during development. Hopefully you can close your eyes and imagine how cool the film would have been if completed. I won't lie, this decision really knocked the wind out of me for a few months, and I struggled to find the enthusiasm to be creative again. With some space though, I think the experience has strengthened my resolve about what I'd like to pursue next and how I'd like to go about doing it. And please stay tuned tomorrow for the announcement of my next project. Signed, Matt Brawley. First off, I'm definitely reading too much into this, but when he says how I'd like to go about doing it, I can't help but to think, is Matt going indie? Let's go! But it may not be that. I'm just spitballing. Just kidding, he is going indie, and I'll put a link to his Kickstarter in the description. And with how these things tend to go, it's very likely that Sony owns the rights to this movie, so Matt can't shop it around anywhere else. Sony themselves would have to sell it, which is really disappointing because, well, look at this art. This movie would have been generational. So many of these designs are so sick, and I would have killed to see them brought to life on the big screen, whether it was 2D or 3D. This six-armed goddess would. And we might be looking at a monkey, but you already know that this character would have been the GOAT. Same thing with this guy. I am extremely disappointed we won't get to know what the deal is with these characters. We may never even get their names. We don't even know what this movie would have been called. We don't have a working title or nothing. I do think it is extremely depressing. On a brighter note, Matt has been met with a ton of positivity and support online from colleagues, fans, and internet personalities, with Dana Terra stating, had the honor to take a peek at this project about a year ago. It was so good and had the potential to be something major. Matt, I hope you get to make it someday. In the meantime, I'm stoked to see what else you have cooking. Man, not to be parasocial because I know these people, but the teenage animation fan in me will always melt over their friendship. This shit means something to me, man. But let's talk about the movie not being commercial enough. A lot of people are reading not commercial enough as not relatable enough. And by not relatable enough, some suit at Sony came in one day, took a look at the movie and went, hey, wait a minute, this isn't about someone white or the Black Spider-Man, get the fuck out of here. And while that may be a possibility, I do want to give Sony the benefit of the doubt and point to the many non-white protagonists we've gotten in animated films over the years. I know the last couple of years have been intense, not just because America's falling apart, but also because of the culture war and woke being dead. And now woke is back, baby! But the more I think about it, the more unsure I am that this was influenced by politics. I think it's just as, if not more likely, that Sony is just fucking stupid. Who remembers Genny Tartakovsky's Popeye? A take on the character and world that looks so good, and yet they pulled the plug on it. What about Lauren Faust's Medusa? An adventure comedy about a girl who's ultimately having a bad hair day. That was allegedly canceled so that the studio could focus on production for the Emoji Movie. Hell, just a few months ago, Gendy shared test footage from The Black Knight, a film he was developing around 2019 at Sony. That looks absolutely sick. Oh, I just went and checked every frame of this movie into my veins. And yet, the studio passed on it for reasons similar to Matt Brawley's film. They weren't sure if there would be an audience theatrically. Hell, remember when Sony announced that Across and Beyond the Spider-Verse would release 1 year apart from each other? Yeah, make it 4, buddy. K-pop Demon Hunters might have blown up on Netflix, but that's only because Sony scrapped the theatrical release. They weren't confident in the film, but now they refuse to stop milking it since it's the talk of the town.
But I mean,
This was one of the biggest films of the year. Not just animated films, but movies in general. And the folks over at Sony did not anticipate its success at all. Despite the gorgeous animation, stellar characters, and a banger soundtrack that was scientifically engineered to earn a few Grammys. You get the idea. Sony Pictures Animation is just not a wise studio. They make poor decisions all the time, and Matt's movie just happened to be one of them. Although again, it's very unfortunate because you can tell this meant a lot to him. It was extremely personal, which is why I strongly disagree with the idea that it wouldn't have been commercially viable. Plenty of people can relate to chronic illness. There are tons of kids out there battling an illness. Kids who would have deeply resonated with this film and felt seen. And even then, a casual audience would have shown up for it. Again, the designs just look so cool, man. Folks would have been seated. And even if they can't relate to the chronic illness aspect of the film, I'm positive they would have been moved by the film and empathized with the main character. I think it would have really stuck with people. At the end of the day, I'm holding out hope that this film could miraculously find a new home. Someone's gotta buy this off of Sony, right? Or maybe, now that everyone's talking about its cancellation, Sony can get a feel for the audience that would show up for it and maybe even change their minds. However, Matt seems like he doesn't want to dwell on this film, nor does he want to hold on to the idea of what if, so the best thing you can do with this news is just support whatever he does next. And he's got a lot in the pipeline. The Amphibia Strange Voyage comic, his own graphic novel series Family Force 5, and other things in the works, I'm sure. I'm excited to see what he announces next, but for now, these are just my thoughts and I want to hear yours. How do you feel about Sony killing this film? Let's get a dialogue going in the comments down below, and keep the convo going over on Twitter and Instagram, at OstrikVox and at Roundtable Vids. Please be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the Roundtable with notifications on so you can stay in the loop of all things animation. Thanks for watching. Peace.